Hey everybody, welcome to a new chapter of Old Man Brad. Whether you are new to the show or returning for another chapter, thank you so much for giving me a listen. If you love the show, drop me a review on your favorite podcast app, or you can become a patron at patreon.com/oldmanbrad. So here we go. It is July. I am starting a new series this month, the month of Mattei. We are going through multiple Bruno Mattei films. We're going to start this month off with a film called Cruel Jaws, or it was also released as Jaws 5, Cruel Jaws, overseas. I had to bring a special guest to talk about this film. Someone who is a big Jaws fan himself, the original Jaws films. I want to welcome in my good friend Gerald from the Awards Garage. How you doing, Gerald?
What's up, man? Good friend. I don't know if I believe that anymore. Make me watch this thing. Right on the heels of, what was that thing we watched like a month ago? Amityville Death Toilet?
Yeah, I got a good track record going. I'm 2 for 2 here. Amityville Death Toilet, Cruel Jaws. Let's go.
Well, it was better than Amityville Death Toilet, not to bury the lead, but I'll give it that much.
Before we kind of dive into everything, do you have any history or know of any Bruno Mattei movies?
Not really. You know, actually, when you were doing your intro there, I didn't even realize, because right before you started recording, you told me that this dude, or I guess this movie, has a cult following. So I was like, really? So I looked him up on Letterboxd, and I mean, I like the movie posters. I'll give you that much. Little sexploitation going on here.
A little bit, yeah.
Not so much in Cruel Jaws, but yeah, I don't really know anything about this dude, to be honest. I mean, I know the name. The name sounds familiar, but aside from just recognizing the name, I didn't really know much about him. So
most of his films, I mean, he's an Italian director, known a lot for just bad movies. He uses stock footage. He uses footage from other films cut into his films. He works a lot with Claudio Fragasso, who also is the writer of Troll 2. So you kind of know where that goes. He and Claudio worked a lot together. Some of his films, he's blatantly just ripped off other scripts, like from Terminator, from Alien, from you name it. So he's kind of had this cult following because of the types of films he makes.
Wow.
So that's why I wanted to do a whole month dedicated to his films. You get to be the first guest of the month.
Well, I appreciate that. I hope you're doing SS Girls, because I'm looking at that one right now. That's where I guess the plot involves prostitutes going undercover to find out Hitler's plot in World War II.
I am not doing that one. We're kicking things off with Cruel Jaws, and then I am doing Rats, Night of Terror, Hell of the Living Dead, Night Killer, and then I am doing Zombie 3, which Lucio Fulci directed the first probably 60% of the movie. He left the project. Bruno Mattei came in to finish it. So it's kind of a mashup film. So, and then I'll have one, The Other Hell, which I'm doing for patrons. It's a nunsploitation film. So it's a big month here for the show.
Bruno Mattei doing big things, I tell you.
He is.
Hey, the poster art's speaking to me. I got to be honest with you.
I mean, he does have some good poster art.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, thanks for having me, man. I mean, you know I love you, so I would do anything for you, and this is obviously proof of that. So here I am to talk about Cruel Jaws.
I mean, 2 for 2, Amityville Death Toilet.
Oh my God,
Cruel Jaws.
You hate me. Did you see my review on Letterboxd for this, by the way?
I have not. I did not look at it.
All my review says, it's not going to spoil anything about my thoughts on the film. All I said was, well, my friend Brad hates me. Confirmed. That's all it says.
I don't hate you. You get to be the first guest of the month.
You're on a run.
We'll see by the end of this month if I have any podcast friends left. How about that?
Right.
All right, let's dive into Cruel Jaws.
Talk rubbish, boy. This is not the place nor the time.
A tiger shark bred by the Navy as a killing machine is wreaking havoc in the sleepy tourist town of Hampton Bay.
Yeah.
I mean,
does any of that happen, though, in this movie?
I don't think it did.
I don't know. I'll let you lead the conversation, but I don't know where you want me to start here.
But this is, it's directed by Bruno Mattei, written and directed, but he released it under the pseudonym William Snyder. A lot of his films he released under a different name, probably because people will be like, hey, it's his movie at the time. I don't want to see it. I don't know, maybe.
Wow, okay.
It stars David Luther, George Barnes Jr., Scott Silveria, Kristen Urso, Richard Dew, Sky Palma, and others. This came out in 1995, and it also went under the name Jaws 5, Cruel Jaws, and also The Beast, depending where it was released. Here it was released as Cruel Jaws, and it wasn't released, I think, for a while due to rights because of some of the scenes that they put into the film.
Music, perhaps?
Music as well, yes.
I wonder how they got away with the Jaws 5, though. Is that still a thing, like overseas? Like if you find this over there, is that what it's called?
Well, I know, I think it was Severin finally released a Blu-ray back in 2020 of this. And they did have a flippable cover where you could flip it around and it said Jaws 5, Cruel Jaws on
Interesting.
it. Still with that same poster where it's almost Jaws-esque, but they kind of put like the little like moon or sun or whatever behind and it's going at an angle, but still, I mean, it's full ripoff.
Might not hold up in court kind of thing. Yeah, no, I get
it. Same with some of the music. Like there's some Jaws music blatantly put in there. There's Star Wars music put into this film.
I thought I heard the Star Wars theme. I thought I heard the Indiana Jones theme at one point from Temple of Doom. I'm like, what the fuck? And I was watching on Tubi. You know, at Tubi, I have the free account or whatever, so it'll cut to ads. So I was doing something else at the time, and I heard this music that was very, very reminiscent of like Star Wars. And I'm like, oh, well, that must be an ad for something that Star Wars is like,
nope,
on some kind of Happy Meal or something with Star Wars. And I look over and I'm like, it's still Cruel Jaws. It's Star Wars music. Like, okay, cool.
Yeah, apparently he went in and the guy who did music, he used they used stock music footage or stock music, and then he just cut other pieces of music with it, threw it in the movie. I mean, all the shark scenes were from other films or stock footage.
Right. And you could tell.
I know they used footage from Jaws, Jaws 2. What was the other movie that they used? Oh, The Last Shark. The shark that kind of comes up out of the water. That was from the movie called The Last Shark. Same with a lot of the windsurfing scenes. There's a big piece of that movie. The whole ending was from Deep Blood, another shark movie.
So basically anything that wasn't like a close-up of these pivotal characters was probably stock footage of something.
Probably from either another movie or stock footage, yes. I don't even know, honestly, where to start with this movie. I mean, you have this opening scene of these people on a boat, and like they're like, we're gonna find this Navy stuff underground and be rich, and mixed with shark stock footage as the shark comes in, and none of this stock footage is the same. So every single time it's a different shark. One time it could be a tiger shark. One time it's a great white.
I think it's like almost impossible to, I mean, it's your show, but I feel like it's almost impossible to like cover this thing like chronologically because nothing really connects in this movie. Like there was a lot of just like weird shit happening that never really, I don't know. I mean, there was a couple things that connected, like obviously there's scenes in the movie that are literally straight up reenactments from Jaws.
Oh, absolutely. I think who's the writer of the original Jaws?
Why did he sue or something like that?
No, I believe he is listed in the credits as
Carl Gottlieb and Peter Benchley. Yeah,
Peter Benchley is listed in the credits as either a story credit or a writing credit or something like that, because I mean they took pieces from it. I mean it's almost like the Jaws story of this rich guy in this little bay town that's, oh, there's sharks. Oh, no, we're not shutting anything down, or we're not doing any of that type of stuff.
Very similar. And I don't know if you realized this when you were like watching this movie. In my opinion, Amityville Death Toilet was also a remake of Jaws, like a ripoff of Jaws. A very, very similar style to like small town, a creature is kind of plaguing the town, but they can't cut off tourists coming to the town. Like,
we're not going to cut it off. Shit. We won't make any money. And then the whole time that, he wasn't even the mayor. He was like the rich guy in the town. The mayor was some other guy,
Right.
but the whole time he's trying to shut down this seaside poor man's Sea World that has 3 dolphins and a sea lion, run by the Hulk Hogan stand-in.
For like literally a second, I was like, "Oh my god, Hulk Hogan is in this. This is gonna be fucking awesome." And then I was like, "Oh, never mind. It's not Hulk Hogan." But like, it looked just like him, but like with less muscle, you know?
Yeah. Apparently he was a stand-in for Hulk Hogan in a couple films.
I believe it. I mean,
He's got the hair, he's got the mustache.
Yeah, from the neck up, he looked just like him. I got to be honest. There was all this weird. I want to ask you. Maybe there is no explanation, but like, why was the handicapped little girl like? She was in a wheelchair and she was like swimming with the dolphins. Cookie and whatever the other one's name was.
I think it's Daisy.
Daisy, and that never went anywhere. Really, I don't know why that was in there. And then one of the things that really tripped me out. I was like trying to figure out why was the brother so pissed at Gloria? Was her name Gloria, the one that had a crush on
for dating that for having a crush on that guy?
Gloria was her name, right? I think. But he was like so pissed. Like we're talking like enraged.
Oh yeah.
He
was like this, like almost like a tough bully that's like, I just want to, I don't know. I just want to fight. Because even the scene where he comes in and like his dad is the rich guy in this town. That scene where he comes to the house and he's talking to him about this whole thing. It was just so weird how it just turned. They started talking about one thing and then he gets really close up to his face and basically like, I'm going to take care of this. This entire movie is just, it's so bad. It's laughable. Like it is.
So is that Matai's thing though, or does he? In other words, did he like know that, or like in the '90s was he like, I'm making some real shit here? You know what I mean? Like that's what I always wonder about with these kinds of movies.
I honestly don't know because I've only seen a handful of his films.
Yeah,
it was one of his films called Zombies: The Beginning, kind of really kicked it off for me because basically that movie is the script for Aliens, almost line for line. And he just put zombies in it.
And you said you're doing that one?
No, I'm not doing that one. But it kind of set me on this rabbit hole of looking into his films and what he does. Of like, okay, there are interesting stories behind these films of what he does and did with them. That I want to dedicate a month to his movies, no matter how bad they are. It's just interesting how this got made and out there.
Yeah, no, it definitely boggles the mind. That's for sure.
And I know this one is, I mean, all the actors were apparently local to Florida. He filmed it in Florida. And I don't think really many of them had acting experience because.
No, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say no.
This felt very, even with the little girl with her handicap. Like, it just felt thrown in there like The Room with the mom and the cancer.
Yeah, that's why I was asking. I was like, why? I mean, I feel bad for her, but why is this in there? Well, who was the...
no reason.
The main older blonde woman that's in the movie, the one that's a hilarious scene where she's pouring the gasoline all over the shark and then all of a sudden it's a giant explosion.
And then she blows up the ship and the boat.
What was her
instead.
name, though? Because what was her character's name? Because I felt like she looked familiar, but she was the only one.
Oh, I honestly don't. The only one I really remember the name is the Hulk Hogan because his name was like Dag or something like that. And it sounded like they kept saying dog.
It may have been Glenda, but then that wouldn't be the case because I haven't seen these other 2 movies that she's credited in. But I don't know. She looks somewhat familiar to me. But yeah, I'm with you. I didn't recognize any of these other folks. I mean, and the acting was, let's just say, not.
Oh, the acting and line delivery. Like the nerdy guy who... At the beginning, when they come to him about this shark, and he was like, "It's definitely a tiger shark. Look at the mouth. It has a mouth like this because they find a body on the beach."
Well, this is the same dialogue from Jaws. I mean, they're just basically changing a few words here and there.
But just his character of how he's the guy that they go to, and then later he's with that girl, and they're like making out before they're going out. And the sheriff comes by because he wants to talk to him about the sharks, and then she gets mad of like, you can go with the sharks or with me. This is your choice. All of a sudden, it's like we're over because he's going for the sharks.
And I love when Susie's like they're doing the autopsy on the shark or whatever they're getting ready to. They're checking it out, and Susie's like, "Does that mean that a shark had sex with a tiger or something like that?" And the dad's like, "No," like real dramatic laughter, you know.
Oh yes, and the whole time, honestly, the whole time I'm watching it, going, "Okay, first, Gerald's gonna hate this. Second, this is so bad. I would watch it with a group of people if there's drinks involved, for sure, because it's just bad."
I think that's like The Room, right? The whole Room recipe. I think that's true. Where sometimes the worse a movie is, like blatantly horrible, the better it is from an enjoyment level when you're watching it with a group of people. But see, I wasn't. I was watching it on my laptop, and I was just like, Brad, I hate you. Why are you making me do this? I downloaded an app to speed up this playback speed for the last like hour because I was like, I can't do this. It was one of those things where it was like, I obviously picked up on the shtick that it was Jaws.
Yes.
So I'm like, all right, so I know what they're basically going to try to do here. So I can't watch this like version of it that's 1,000 times more mediocre than Jaws is. You know what I mean? Like I was just I'll just watch Jaws. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's even using scenes from Jaws, like the first girl that swims into the ocean, and it's like the scenes of her swimming up above, and she's like, man, they just completely just cut that Jaws scene out, placed it right here. Oh, put some stock footage here, and then
hey, the editing was, they were really bought in on the editing. I'll give them that.
Well, he was the editor on the movie too, so he's he's a jack of all trades there.
Yeah, I'm going down a little rabbit hole here with his filmography while you've been talking. But yeah, it's pretty impressive, honestly. Made a whole career out of this whole thing, you know.
One of my favorite lines, they were talking about the sharks, where his comment was, "They swim, eat, and make baby sharks." Who wrote this? And then randomly,
so good, man.
Randomly, when like the tough guy, like the Guido guys show up, it was so random. Of like all of a sudden, this tough guy,
those dudes,
strong arming like the rich dude, and then these other two like buffoons, basically, are like going, we're gonna take care of it. We'll take care of these kids. And they get on the boat, and one of them in his scuba gear gets out and then gets eaten. And you can just tell because the scene they use is from the movie The Last Shark, with the animatronic shark that doesn't hardly move, and you could just tell it's like some dummy hanging from the mouth as it's like shaking back.
I will say I had a glimmer of hope in the early part of this movie, because the first like horror piece that we get is when that body washed up on the shore. Yes. And they had that practical corpse that actually looked pretty good.
That did look pretty good.
It was a little fucked up, like it was a little scary, and it had like the sand in the teeth, and I thought that looked pretty good. I was like, okay, all right, you guys are putting in some effort here, and then it never really came up again.
Never panned from there.
That was pretty much it.
And then randomly you get the Jaws theme for a second, and you're like, wait, what? Did I just hear that right? Just like you said with the Star Wars. Did that just happen?
Yeah,
that's what a lot of this movie is. It's a lot of, is that like either the lines they say, you're like, what just happened? Or you hear music cues and you're like, okay. Or my favorite in the entire movie is they go after the shark with 12 gauge shotguns.
Oh,
because that's gonna get you're shooting at a shark way out there. That's gonna do really good.
And they show that, and they show that stock footage, but when they drop the bait in, which is like what did she say? She said it was her mom's roast or whatever.
Yeah. Oh yeah. She pulls it in.
Like, what? Why'd you fucking bring your mom's roast? The store's not open. So anyway, and they like drop it in to lure the shark out, and then they cut to that footage. They cut to stock footage, obviously.
Yeah, of the shark eating meat.
It's so funny when they cut back to the actors and they keep going back and forth, because it's like the transition is just hilarious, because they're supposed to be reacting to the stock footage that we're watching. But you can tell when they filmed it, they probably didn't even know what they were reacting to. Just like react to a shark popping out of the water or whatever. And it doesn't match the footage that he's stuck in there. And then that's the same sequence that I was actually really laughing during that sequence, because that's the same one that I was talking about where she's pouring the gasoline like frantically.
Yeah.
Like the whole fucking canister of gasoline, which, by the way, I don't think she was pouring it off the ship. I think she was like pouring it onto the dude standing next to her. But
I think that's what it was. It looked like she was dumb and just poured it on herself, and then it exploded.
Yeah.
And then there was like the call in where they were like, Lewis's boat exploded at sea, no survivors. And they're like, oh shit. And that was it.
Yeah.
Like, it was like,
That was
oh, darn. Like,
That was it. I mean, that's what I mean. There were so many, like, just different forks in the road for the plot that I didn't really know what was happening. Like, I didn't know what the point of the movie was because we didn't really ever come back to that whole Navy thing.
No.
From the beginning.
And the whole windsurfing stuff it just felt like, let's just throw this race in here.
Yeah.
Just because we have clips from this other movie that we gotta
have clips
like
from it. Yep. Yep. And then they had like the forbidden love stuff with the girl and how her dad and brother didn't want her to, and there's that one scene where the dad takes her upstairs and throws her in her room. It's like, you stay in here. You're not coming out of here until we catch the shark or whatever. And she's like 30. I'm like, why is she like crying on the bed like she's 12? You know what I mean? No, in fairness, like you said, if he knew what he was doing and the whole exploitation piece and just like ripping it off blatantly and that's his thing, because I haven't seen any of his other films, at least I don't think I have. So like if that's his thing, and it is funny, and like I said, if you and I were watching it with like 10 of our friends, we would probably have a fucking blast with this thing. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, you would just make fun of it. This is like The Room, but with sharks,
right?
Because it's
that's fair.
It has that just bad line delivery. Like the Hulk Hogan guy, some of his lines, you just see they're just delivered poorly. And even cutting some of the edits, even where they, cut to maybe a shark or something else and they cut back, you can tell he didn't quite cut it enough because they're standing there for a second. It cuts back to the scene and then they like, oh, okay. They just yelled, action, we can move now. So it just wasn't cut smooth.
Yeah.
And even like the girl with the handicap was just thrown in there and never comes around to anything else.
I was like, this seems literally cruel. I mean, why are we? What does this poor girl have to do with this? But I do wonder about that on a larger just question, because Tommy Wiseau, like, he thought he was making something special. Like, he was really, quote unquote, trying.
Yes.
With The Room. And it ended up being bad that he just kind of embraced it later or whatever. And it, and pretended like, oh, this is what I'm doing.
Pretended he was making this comedy.
Right. So that's what I always wonder about with these types of films is like, because I also think a little bit of the novelty can be lost if you're doing it on purpose. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're trying to not be good on purpose, because then it's like, if you succeed at that, or depending on how well you succeed, then you really are making a good movie, but you're just making a good movie. You're putting those efforts into making a product that doesn't seem good. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, you have to really think about what you're doing as opposed to just doing it, and then it ends up being bad because everybody hates it or whatever,
I think for him, he was good at making a low budget movie. I know a lot of his movies later in his career and some of his action movies he filmed in the Philippines because it was really cheap to make a movie, cheap to get people to work on it. And I think like this, it was just, I want to make a shark exploitation movie. I can do it on the cheap. And we don't even need to build anything because I'll just cut stock footage and other footage into it to get a movie. Right. And I'm sure he makes it so cheap that at least overseas or other countries, people probably ate it up and it turned a good profit.
That's a good point. At a certain era, too, it probably hit. You know what I mean? Like in the 70s and 80s, this was probably like good shit. I don't know so much in like 1995 because I feel like, we were kind of beyond that, schlocky, campy B-movie stuff, at least for the general public. But I bet you a lot of his stuff hit pretty well in the 70s and 80s, I was looking at his filmography. He's been at it for a long time, so.
I know this one, we didn't get an official release of it in the U.S. until 2020. They were going to release it in 2009, Scream Factory, but they canceled it because of the unauthorized footage from Jaws and other movies that was used in it. So I wonder how Severin released it in 2020. I wonder what legal hoops they had to jump through to get it.
It seems like that wouldn't even be possible. That's why it's kind of crazy, but.
And now, it's streaming all over the place. So I don't know.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. I can't put in a 8-second clip on YouTube without getting flagged. So I don't know what the hell they're doing, but hey, more power to them,
I don't know. He uses Star Wars, Jaws clips, and like the shark, because this, they're going after the shark. And like there's a scene of the shark where he gets hit by the propeller, because that was Jaws 2, right? That scene. Mm-hmm. And then same when they blow the shark up at the end and you just see its head explode.
Right.
It's just like you could tell it's a model shark and they just blow it up. Because I was trying to pick out which scenes were Jaws, which scenes were something else, which, Because you could do that. You could probably make a game with it of what movie is he stealing from on this one.
Well, and in the dialogue too, and the screenplay too, you know. I mean, it was a trip to like see some of those scenes. Like, you know, they have a whole reenactment of the scene where the shark is found, and like you said, the scientist dude who is basically Richard Dreyfuss's character is like, this is not the kind of shark you think it is. If you really want to know, just cut him open and you'll see, you know. And that literally is exactly from Jaws.
Yeah.
And a lot of the scenes on the boat and stuff too. It's a cool study to like see and just be like, okay, this is what this dude was doing. It's just interesting. And it's interesting to hear that it has a cult following too. On Letterboxd, it's at a 2.3 curve. It's actually not horrible for this movie, I would think.
Right towards the middle.
Yeah.
I'm curious what some of the, I know there's some 5-star reviews I've seen on there.
Yeah, 4% of them are 5 stars, which is fucking weird to me.
Well, they probably just loved the schlockiness of it, of like one of those, like, let's just make fun of it.
Somebody says, Hulk Hogan versus a shark. You cannot convince me that that's not him. Does look a lot like him.
It very much does.
I mean, if he was more muscular, it would be, yeah, you'd be like, that's you, dude.
Oh, yeah. So are you telling me, Gerald, that you probably would not watch Cruel Jaws again?
No, but funnily enough, I think I would be interested to watch some of these other ones that he's done just out of curiosity, because I know you said that it's like his thing to steal or rip off or whatever the phrase, technical phrase would be, but I'm just curious about some of these other ones that I don't know the source material so well. Do you get what I'm saying? And how that would hit with me? Because this one, I know the source material like the back of my hand. I've seen Jaws 100 times. So if I saw, you know, that one I was talking to you about, SS Girls, like maybe he borrows from World War II movies for that, but I most likely wouldn't know. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. You need to see, what is it? Shocking Dark. It was also released in Europe as Terminator 2.
Oh, God.
Before T2 came out here. So if that tells you where it's leading, like that one's a mix of ripping off Predator and Terminator.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So I'm just interested if it was one of his films that might follow that same recipe, but it was a source material that I wasn't familiar with.
Yeah.
How it would hit with me.
I wouldn't know. If it's something I'm not familiar with, I might not know. I'll find out more in this month.
I know, right? I had to listen to Old Man Brad. I'm not against, you know, a filmmaker having fun like that, but that's why I said if it's like he's just doing what he wants to do and then it ends up being cult and it ends up being kind of like so bad it's good, but not on purpose, which is kind of how I categorize The Room, for example, then I really like that. I really like when something kind of is magic in a bottle like that. And I don't know anything about him, so I'm just curious if he was just kind of making the movies he wanted to make, and then they ended up kind of being looked at the way they're looked at, you know? I'm
going to guess he does. And I think that, because I watched an interview for when I'm going to talk about Zombie 3 coming up, the writer, Claudio, was talking about how after Lucio Fulci left, they couldn't get the actors back, and they brought in Bruno, because he was already in the Philippines filming something else. He was a second unit director on this. So he was like, Claudio was like, Bruno and I worked together. We were easily write something that would fit in this, as he put it. I think he even said, because we're good at like fixing and we can do things on the cheap. So it's, I don't know. They probably turned quite a profit with a lot of these movies that they dished out with whatever it was they made. I haven't dug deeply into a lot of the research of the other films I'm going to be doing this month. I am curious to see what some of their stories will end up being as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So if you were to give Cruel Jaws a rating
out of
5, the Letterboxd rating.
Well, look, I mean, this was a first time watch for me, and you had just made me watch Amityville Death Toilet, which I hated. So in fairness, I didn't think about this at the time when I initially watched Cruel Jaws, but I think I'll give Cruel Jaws a 2 out of 5 because I think I gave Amityville Toilet a 1.5. And this is definitely better than that. I enjoyed it a lot more.
Okay.
And like I said, you can kind of see, even though it's really stupid and silly and not good in terms of like the craft part of it, you can tell that Matai was like, he knew what he wanted to make, and he was making this kind of schlocky ripoff of Jaws. Whereas in Death Toilet, I didn't know what the fuck these guys were doing. I mean, they were using the same regurgitated dialogue over and over again, So I think I would probably go 2 out of 5 because I'm using that previous film that you made me watch as a bit of a benchmark.
Okay,
so
that's fair. This is also I'd never seen it. This is a first time watch for me as well. but I don't know where I'd rate it because on one hand, it was so bad that it was just hilarious. And I found myself just laughing through the whole movie that I'm just like, I had fun in that way. Like, it's one of those, like, I could probably just put it on as a background movie and see scenes here and there and just laugh at it. Just like The Room. Ridiculously laugh. As a serious movie, I mean, it would be a low score because it's not a good movie. Not at all.
I said this recently, not to interrupt you, but I said this recently on my show that I feel bad almost rating movies like these because I feel like they're not designed to be rated. Do you know what I'm saying? They're just designed to be either you vibe with it and you want to watch it with your buddies, or you hate it and it's not your thing.
Or you
know
don't.
What I mean?
Throw in a movie like this at film Twitter, they would their minds would explode. They wouldn't know what to do.
It's not going to be covered on the awards garage anytime soon. Actually, it might be because I might put it on my tier list for the month of June because you made me watch it. So who knows?
You need to get a copy of it and get the flipped cover. This is Jaws 5, so you can put it on your shelf with the other 4.
Look what I found, guys.
Now, let me ask you this. Would you recommend this to somebody over Jaws the Revenge? Because we know how bad that one is.
This is in the same boat for me, no pun intended. So that they're in the same basket. So no, I don't think so. But also, I would never recommend the Revenge either. So
okay.
I don't know. I mean, I think no. I think they're basically tied. I mean, both of them are equally. I would probably give the Revenge like a 2 out of 5 too. I mean, it's not good and it sucks, but for different reasons. It's not trying to be this like parody almost. You know what I mean? That's a tough question because I don't know how you could pick one or the other between those two.
Jaws the Revenge was trying to be a serious shark movie with
that's what I mean, yeah.
Growling sharks.
Yeah, a lot of sound effects in that shark.
I think at one point
and stuff.
It growled one point in Cruel Jaws as well, I believe, if I remember right.
Oh, did it? Oh, that would have been an awesome callback. I didn't notice that. I would have loved that if that happened. I did.
Because when it happened, I was like, I think the shark just like made like a roar sound, and I thought of Jaws Revenge right away.
For sure. Yeah. Classic.
But that one was trying to be a serious film. This one, I don't know if he was trying to be. I would assume he was trying to be serious. It just didn't work
that's what
out.
I wonder, man. Maybe his style, and you're going to find out this month probably, but maybe his style is like in his mind as an artist. He's like, okay, storyboarding it, whatever. This is what I want it to look like. I want to borrow from these movies that influenced it, whatever. And that's like his serious kind of vision. But we all see it as a joke. I mean, who knows? You know what I mean? That's why I don't know, but I like to think that he's not like in on the joke, if that makes sense. Because then it's a little more, not necessarily that I respect it more, but just like I enjoy it a little bit more if that's the case. Because if he's going out of his way to make it bad, I feel like he could use those efforts to make a good movie. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
I do. I think he was like, hey, give me a budget. I can make this. You know, this.
Right. That's
I'll make it for this much.
That's kind of what I think so.
You'll turn a profit.
Yeah,
It'll be huge on home video. People will eat the stuff up.
Right. And if people, see it as a joke and have watch parties and all that shit, then I mean, he's not going to be upset about that, I'm sure. So that's just the way the cookie crumbled. No pun intended to that dolphin.
Recent years, like Severin Films has been putting a lot of his movies on Blu-ray. So I think I don't know if it's his popularity or that cult following is getting bigger that, we're getting wider releases. I mean, even some of his films have been released in 4K. I don't know what it would do for his film, but
just say, what does that enhance? I don't know.
I don't know.
You never gave me your rating though out of 5. What was it?
I don't know where to rate this because it is so bad that I would watch this again. I would put it on and watch it again because I found it to be funny. And so at that side of things, it's like I would give it a higher of a 4, but then like I don't know. I'd probably just say a flat 2.5 right in the middle of the road because it's not a good movie, but a 2.5, it's a movie I'd watch over and over again and enjoy the heck out of it.
I know you, and I know it's your cup of tea. Is this a Bradfest?
It absolutely would be.
Attendee here? Okay.
Yeah. This would definitely play at Brad Fest for sure.
Doubleheader with Jaws, maybe ever. I don't know.
Jaws: The Revenge,
That'd actually probably be a funny doubleheader actually.
or Jaws 3.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, I look forward to hearing your other entries from this dude. I might actually throw in a couple of his films when I got free time, like Night Killer for sure, because the Freddy Krueger thing kind of intrigues me a little bit, and some of this poster art speaking to me. You know what I'm saying? He directed a porno that's on here too.
Oh wow, I didn't know. I haven't dug all the way down his rabbit hole yet.
Cicciolina, My Love from 1979, an Italian adult industry film. So,
anything more you want to say about Cruel Jaws?
not really, man. Just one of these days, hit me up with like a studio released film with like a normal like narrative, and we'll cover it. I mean, literally anything. Warner Brothers, Universal, Disney, like just something like, normal.
But you know me, you know what I like, what I do.
One of these days.
Where do you think Brad Fest came from? Julio didn't come up with Brad Fest for
Yeah, that's true.
just for no reason.
But you like Final Destination and like horror movies,
It's true.
There's shit, We could do a normal movie where, I'm not having to speed it up to 2 times to stay awake,
Well, speaking
No
of
offense.
normal
No
movies,
offense to Bruno Mattei.
speaking of normal movies, the Awards Garage.
Oh yeah.
If they don't want to follow Mattei all the way and they want to kind of a little higher brow, check out the Awards Garage.
I'm just taking jabs at you, man. I love you. I'm just kidding with you. Just look me up on YouTube. I'm basically pretty much 95% of my stuff's on there right now. So it's just the Awards Garage on YouTube. And one of these days I'll bring the audio podcast back when I can figure out what I'm going to do with the co-host. But right now I just cover anything movies, mostly current releases, but I do other stuff too. And once awards season rolls around, which is usually like November to like February-ish, in that 4 to 5 month period, it's like really intense with Oscars and Golden Globes and everything else from a movie award perspective. So give me a follow over there if you're into it. And Brad, I'm a big fan of yours, and I appreciate you having me, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you being the first guest for Mattei this month, and we'll
yeah, man,
get you to watch a few more, and you'll be like, you know what? I kind of like a couple of his movies. Well, I don't know. We'll see. But as always, Gerald, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me and watching terrible movies. I know I throw those terrible movies at you.
Hey, you're going in the right direction, because this was a step up from the Death Toilet.
Well, there you go. So the next one will be even better.
We'll see what's next. That's what I'm saying. We'll see what's next. We're moving in the right direction.
That will do it for this chapter of Old Man Brad. Just subscribe to the show and you'll never miss any chapter of the show or any of my series, Tales from Tubi, Versus, or anything else I do over here. I just like to have fun. That's why I do stuff like this. Watch terrible movies and tell you guys about it. But I will be back soon with a brand new episode. Just snuggle up in that blanket, turn off the lights, because it's okay to be scared. We'll talk to you later, everybody.